Hello, pocket knife community, knife lovers, knife enthusiasts, interested viewers. Hold it here. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna tell you, this was a long road this year. I honestly thought I would never get here. I normally do my top 10 early in December every year, and I didn't get around to doing it until now. Today's the 17th, in the middle of the month, because I had a I had some stuff that was coming in, and I wanted to make sure I included everything. So yeah, yeah, we're ready. We're ready for my top 10, and I am so excited. The order has changed, and how you feel about things, how I feel about things. Remember, my top 10 is a feeling. It is a feeling, how I feel about my knives. It doesn't mean the knife is the best knife. It doesn't mean it cuts the best. It doesn't even mean it's the most expensive. Definitely not the most expensive. Um, and it might not even have the best materials. It's just how I feel about the knives in my collection. If you're new to this channel, I have a few hundred knives. I don't know how many. I got to count them instead of guessing. I mean, it's probably over 300. And by serious collector standards, that's not even a lot. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 more categories this year. But so that my video isn't so long and you guys are just zipping through my video without even watching it, I'm just going to add those categories and just tell who the winner is. So besides my favorite knife on my top 10, the other 3 categories are going to be best looking blade, like literally what I feel is the best looking knife blade. The grind, how it looks, the finish, whatever is my favorite. The knife with the best action. That means when you're flicking it open, close, how it locks, unlocks, how it feels in hand, the best action. And then finally, my most carried. Okay, because a lot of the knives I show in here that are, I admit, they're safe queens. I admit it. I admit it. They're not heavily used knives or used at all. And I do have knives that I don't use. I do have knives I use an awful lot. And that's just how I choose to use my collection. So that last category is going to be the most carried. And of those 3 categories, I'm just going to pull out the winners. I'm not going to, go through, second, third, and fourth and all that. Okay, so let's get down to this. Yeah. Okay, so this year I actually happen to have 5 honorable mention that are outside of the top 10, but which is crazy is I actually have 2 that didn't even make those 5 honorable mentions. So it's really top 17. So I'm going to mention the 2 that didn't make the 5 honorable mention. They're just such amazing knives in my collection. I mean, I love them. They are amazing tools. And I really wanted to put them in the top 15, but it's just really difficult. So anyway, without further ado, the first knife that didn't make that top 15 that I really, really, really love a lot is the Giant Mouse Tribeca. Full titanium, Magna Cut steel, amazing knife. This knife, it just has the most solid, dense feel to it. Really high quality feel, really nice knife. Wire pocket clip, smooth titanium. The flipper tab is incredible. It does light switch or push button. And yeah, just a really nice knife, but it just, I don't know what to say. The field this year was just crazy. And my second knife that didn't make that top 15 of the 2 is the ZT0562 Ti, full Ti, aftermarket screw package on this, a full monochromatic color scheme. And it is a slicer grind, and it is just an absolute beautiful knife. I love this knife. It's an older knife, but it is still very, very relevant. So these 2 just, let me stop. They just did not make it into that top 15. Okay, so now the 5 that are technically it's top 15, but it's honorable mention. They did not make my top 10, but these are honorable mention, and I'm not going to do them in any order, and I'm going to go through them really quick. The first knife is the Nexusia. WE Knives Nexusia. This knife is absolutely outstanding. It has some of the best ergos in the group. Very high quality titanium. The action on this thing is beautiful, and if you didn't notice, it just sounds incredible. It's like tink. Yeah, really good sound. Pocket clip is excellent. Can't say enough about it. That's the Nexusia. Next knife in my top, and this is no particular order too, is let me see, what do I do next? Hold on a second, guys. Okay, so my next knife is the Giant Mouse Biblio XL Dark. Yeah, so Giant Mouse did a re-release of these. This is also a phenomenal knife. It also comes in Magna Cut. It's the Dark Edition. I believe they only made 100 of these after making the XL. The XL, if you didn't know, replaced the old Biblio. So now there is no regular Biblio. They call this the XL, but it is a replacement. Ergos on this knife are fantastic. The reverse clip is the reverse flick is extremely powerful. I love the flipper tab. Can't say enough about it. And be honest with you, I'm just going to put it out there. This kind of eclipsed the Tribeca this year. That's why the Tribeca was outside the top 15 because of that knife. That knife is serious business. You probably can't get it in the Dark Edition anymore, but you can still get this in green canvas micarta, regular titanium. You can get it, and the knife is just incredible. Okay, moving on is the Warnatech. Oh, man, I can't believe this knife didn't make the top 10. This is a serious knife. I'm usually not that keen on short knives. When I say short, I mean top to bottom on the scale. Okay, this would be the thickness. This would be the length, but tall, short, and it's because of, I just have a hard time controlling them with the type of hands I have. But this knife is one that is a short knife, so it's kind of thin and narrow, almost like a big gentleman's knife, but it is absolutely spectacular. The reverse flick is incredible on this. The jimping is extremely good. Spyderco like jimping. It's a full hollow grind you see here. Wharncliffe blade, 20 CV steel, titanium. Amazing, has a reversible pocket clip. If you notice, usually with these type of knives you don't see that, and the milling is just precision. I love it as a the main pivot is single-sided. If you notice, it only has access to one side. This is a single-sided pivot. I think all knives should go to some type of single-sided pivot system. It is the future. Just a really, really, really nice knife. Amazing knife. And my last two that are in the top 15, I'm going to bring them out together because they're essentially the same knives with different materials. And that is the Spyderco Manix 2. My two Manix 2s. The first one is the aluminum Manix 2. The entire blade and the tang have been polished, and the washers have been polished on this particular knife, and it is so smooth. Glass smooth. Amazing knife. Titanium backspacer, aluminum scales, 30 CV steel, titanium cage for the bearing. Aftermarket, love it, love it. And the second one is PVD coated Cruwear. Woo! Love that Cruwear. Cruwear, some amazing steel. So, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. This might not be PVD. This might be DLC. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it is DLC. And it has the Kieranite scales on this. Custom Kieranite. It's a composite. Epoxy is kind of poured. No two Kieranite scales are the same. They are unique as a human fingerprint. And it makes the knife very unique. I have my Screw for You aftermarket deep pocket micro clip on the back, which I love that thing. And this knife rocks. I mean, it really, really rocks. It's ultra light and it never feels slippery. It looks slippery. It looks slick, but it never feels slippery in here. Kyanite is some excellent, excellent material for knife scales. So that's it. That's it. That's the 15, right? Bong. That's the 15. That's the 5 outside of my top 10 that I absolutely love, but just the field is so ridiculous that these really, really nice knives did not make it. Did not make the top 10. Okay. Woo! Yeah, 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 yeah. It is time for top 10. And I actually put these top 10 in order the best I could. Don't take the order. So, I mean, the top 5, maybe take those in order, like, you know, that are very serious. The top 10, they're all just so amazing. None of them are for sale. I wouldn't get rid of any of these knives. I'll pretty much take them to the grave. You know, I just really cherish them and love them. When I started collecting knives as a hobby, this is what these types of knives embody. You know, embody what I was, you know, foreseeing as far as being a collector. I've seen other people's collections, and you got some people out there with some amazing collections, blow mine out the water. But I will say this, that I like my stuff, you know, so I'm not in competition with anyone else. I just collect for myself. I collect what I like, not what other people like. And these knives definitely are that. So let's start it off. We start off with number 10. Number 10 in my collection is the Hindera XM18 3.5 20 CV steel aftermarket BGM hollow grind on the blade with the frag pattern scale. This started out G10 and you buy the frag. So yeah. Also, this is not a Hindera clip. This is an aftermarket clip, and the plug is also aftermarket to create the full monochromatic color scheme. Hinderas, if you don't know, if you've never felt a Hindera in your hand, they have the most amazing ergos. Really, really, really good ergos. It's amazing that this knife is number 10. Just shows a testament of what the competition is. It's my XM18 3.5. Number 9 is also a Hindera XM18 3.5. This knife is a fatty version. If you don't know what that means, it means that the body is as fat, thick, and chunky as the XM24, which is the bigger version, but it's still the length of the 18 3.5. So it has the smaller length with the chunkier body. This is a Wharncliffe. I think Hindera makes the most prolific Wharncliffe blade out there. It is just absolutely spectacular. If you look at the grind on that blade, this is also a hollow grind with BGM knives and a custom grind, but that top swedge on that point is a ridiculous piercing geometry. Ridiculous. Okay, the ergos on this are also absolutely incredible. And if you hadn't noticed, it's got an amazing Zircuti scale that is extremely prolific and expensive, I might add. And the anodized, fully blue anodized hardware. Yeah. I just tightened this thing up the other day, so it's a little tight. That's number 9. 10 and 9. Here we go with number 8. Number 8 is the Magnum Opus GMP5 Giant Mouse. This is a knife that I would absolutely 100% never sell. I bought this on the secondary market because when I started collecting knives, this knife had already been released, and Giant Mouse does not, I repeat, does not really re-release any of their GM lines. Once they make them, they're gone forever. I don't remember the year this came out. It might be 2016, 2017, maybe. If you know in the comments, you can say so. Elmax Super Clean Blade, micro milling, anodized main pivot and pocket clip, and backspacer. Yeah. And I might add that this knife is number 10. I don't know if you can see that. It says it inside. Number 10 of only 100 ever made. And it's one of the reasons why when I saw it on the secondary market, I said I have to have it. Number 10, I have to have it. Okay. 10, 9, and 8. Number 7. Woo! Ho, 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 ho. Demko AD20. AD20 is the full-size Demkos. Has the Shark Lock. If you didn't know, Shark Lock is a lock created by Andrew Demko. Used to be with Cold Steel. Went off on his own. Now it's basically just Demko. Amazing, amazing technique and ergonomics on this knife, and also the engineering that went into creating the Shark Lock is absolutely incredible. This has original GOAT aftermarket shark tooth scales, full back titanium backspacer, and 20 CV steel with a saber grind. Yeah, factory OEM clip, and it is just an amazing, amazing knife. Love it. Moving right along. We're moving right along, because we're going to be down to our, this knife would be number 6 on the list. And this is a milestone, guys, actually, because along with some of the other ones I think actually were in the top 5 before, this knife was never outside of the top 5. And I'm going to tell you, don't think bad that it's out of the top 5. This knife used to be in the top 5, now it's not, so it means anything. It's just that it just got crazy this year. And this knife could fluctuate in and out of the top 5. It's just that it's been around for so long now, and it weathers the test of time, and it's just an amazing knife. Looks amazing, action's amazing, and yeah. So without further ado, the Koenig Arius, man, M390 steel, full titanium, micro milled frame lock. Okay, it's got a sort of like a fuller that goes into a deployment hole that leads to a very, very minuscule minor top swedge on that piercing, for that piercing geometry for the blade. Really nice belly, hollow grind, anodized hardware. Pocket clip is extremely unique on this. It literally is invisible. I mean, it's just, you feel nothing of that pocket clip in hand. It also has a spread on the back of the scales that you kind of can't notice visually, but when you put your thumb there, it just rests almost like right in between. So this thing is ergonomically amazing. It's one of the best knives ever made, in my opinion. It's a frame lock. It is tuned unbelievably. It has guillotine-like drop action. Just perfect, fully centered blade. The knife literally has no weaknesses. I mean, it really doesn't. So the fact that this knife didn't make it into the top 5 is absolutely nuts. Okay, that is just absolutely crazy. So there you go, 10, 9, 8, 7, and 6. There you go. So that's the top part of my top 10. Okay. All right, guys. You guys got to go because I got to make room for the top 5. Okay, this is getting crazy right now. This is definitely getting crazy. Yeah, the top 5 is really, really crazy. And this, I'm gonna tell you, this this knife that's number 5, this was really, really a tough choice to put into my top 5, but it just made such an impact. And the fact that it bumped the Koenig Arius out, now listen, that might change. My feelings might change, and I might come to my senses and say, you know what, maybe it doesn't bump the Arius out, but as of right now, it does. So, I mean, this is just an amazing knife. It's extremely, I mean, the price point is insane. You know, you're talking about a sub $200 knife. It's just really different. It really kind of impacted me because I've never had a knife sort of with a few of the things that this thing has. And it's just, yeah, really like it. So anyway, without further ado, number 5 in my top 10 is the Kizer Hawk. Oh my goodness. You talk about drop, guillotine drop action. This thing is insanely ridiculous. Full lockup, no play anywhere. It has an action that is just, I've never felt a knife with the lock bar in a liner lock, frame lock or liner lock for that matter, that just was so smooth. And it has a detent nub, okay? It has a nub right on the liner, right there, that stops it right there. And then once you go past that nub, then that's when the blade closes. And opening is the same. It's not falling out at all. That detent is strong, but very easy to break. I mean, this thing is incredible, man. S45 steel, full titanium with copper. Look at the size of that main pivot. It is absolutely insane. The pattern has speed holes on the side. If you notice, all of them are different sizes based off of where they are on the handle. Incredible how they did that. The way they countersunk the lanyard hole in the back, or you know. Also, too, I found to be interesting, the name Kizer isn't anywhere on this knife, and I really looked hard to find it. Now, I admit I haven't taken the knife apart yet, but on the outside, you cannot find the name Kizer. It's just this E with the word design inside of it. It's also S45 steel, and there's nowhere where it names the steel either. Very unique pattern, the way they did this on the other side. Having these holes in that pattern really allow really good pinch points when you're holding onto the knife. Oh, gosh. And wow, that was total Freudian, right? I'm just bragging on how well you can pinch it, and I drop it on the table. And yeah, but that just goes to show it doesn't matter how well a knife is designed for you to be able to grip it, you can drop it. So yeah, but at any rate, yeah, this is really nice. This knife, yeah, it pushed the Koenig Arius out of my top 5. Amazing, really amazing knife. I really am blown away by it. So yeah, that's the Kizer Hawk. That's number 5. Number 4 in my collection is the Berg Blades Tick. Oh my goodness. This knife is absolutely amazing. When I first got this thing, it is just blew me away. I love its simplicity. It's really what's amazing. It has a slight peak right here at the top that comes down to the flats in the back of the handle, and those flats fit perfectly in your palm for the perfect piercing geometry, the way it comes around. It also has the peak after the main index or your front two, depending on how you want to use the ergos. Extremely nice. What a unique backspacer, right? I love the way that backspacer comes to a point, how it looks on there. And the beautiful thing about this knife is the blade. The blade on this thing is absolutely spectacular. You're talking about a hollow grind. The fuller on this thing is just beautiful. And the way they did the grind on the top part of the clip, where right at the clip here, that just kind of blends into the fuller. just gives it such a really, really, really handsome appearance. If you notice, you do see two screws in the back, and on the clip side, which this is not reversible, you do not see those holes back there. I mean the screw holes back there. So it has any screw holes to hold on to on the clip. So it does have a very minimalist look about it that is just extremely appealing. It does have an enormous main pivot, not as big as the one on the Hawk, but it's pretty big. The action on this is also incredible. The reverse flick is incredible. Really, really, really nice knife. Really like this knife a lot. Okay, that's the Berg Blades Tick. We are down to the top 3. Oh my god, I can't take it. All right, you know what? I'm out. I'm not gonna finish the video. Sorry guys, I can't. I'm just kidding. I gotta finish. All right. Number 3 in my entire collection, my top 3, my top 10 is the RG Custom Metalworks Spyderco PM2 in S110V steel. This thing is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Look at the curves on this knife while it's closed. I mean, if you can absolutely appreciate artistic value in pocket knives, you have to appreciate the way this knife looks. It has curves in all the right places. Yeah, and then of course it's the PM2 legendary slicer, full flat grind. It also utilizes the famed and most ridiculously powerful Spyderco compression lock, full anodized hardware, and I think it's Zircuti lanyard plug to cap it off. Yeah, serious knife. This is a Grail level PM2. Love that thing. Really puts the PM2, which is a basic everyday knife, right? A common basic everyday knife, really elevates the PM2. Even the action is amazing. Really smooth action, perfectly centered blade. Yeah, these scales not only look incredible, they're very, very highly functional. We are down to the top 2. Top 2 knives in my entire collection. Number 2 is the Hindera XM18 3.5. Okay, my Bowie with my Bowie cut blade here. All right, and this knife also is adorned with copper accents, copper backspacer, copper barrel standoff, copper filler plug, and overstop travel is also copper. Yeah, really nice. Fully smooth titanium body. Amazing ergos. This is factory clip that's on here. And I did not do any special grinds on this blade. This is the way the OEM grind on the blade. And I am definitely contemplating doing a full custom hollow on this. I'm really thinking about it. Love this thing. Love it. Your typical Hindera ergonomics. And my top knife, my number 1 knife in my collection, it's almost not even fair. This knife, I don't know how I'm going to ever dethrone this knife because the knife has such a insane backstory that, you know, that adds to it. I'm going to have to just omit the backstory along with the knife being incredible. Is my Demko 8020, my top of the line Demko 8020. It has the original GOAT Expanse scales, full titanium backspacer, crew wear steel, enhanced grind on the blade, has some anodization on the thumb studs. And this knife was purchased right after the global pandemic, when the world came back into effect at the Demko booth. And it's ground by Andrew Demko. It also started out in carbon fiber before I put the original goat scales on it, and it was up for auction, and I just bought it out of the auction. I didn't even allow anybody to bid on it when it came in. So needless to say, it wasn't cheap. It's when the world was just opening back up. People were like literally dying for something. Everyone's sitting in the house, home. You know, COVID had just ravaged the world, and yeah. And then these knives were finally released. Yeah. So yeah, it has that backstory, which makes the knife is already ridiculous. The knife, and it has that backstory, and it has a lot of value to me. I also would never get rid of it because um, a lot of people focused on things after COVID. You know, they focused on either new skills. We lost a lot of people during COVID. A lot of people lost their lives. So, you know, like 9/11, it's something that it really resonates with people what happened because it was a big strain on the world. And I found collecting pocket knives after COVID. That's what, you know, you're sitting home, you have nothing to do, and I just, you know, I kind of started collecting knives. So that's why this knife has such a special story. So at any rate, that's it. That's my top 10 for this year. Who knows? You know, if you look back at my top 10 from last year, we definitely have different players this year. And I'm sure next year we'll have different players again, or the orders might switch around, and maybe, you know, maybe my AD20 might get dethroned next year by something just ridiculous, you know, or how I feel about something. So we'll see as of right now, but, you know, that's all I got. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hey, guys, yeah, I'm back really quick. Yeah, that video was so long, I forgot to add the 3 categories that I wanted to add to, you know, to my top 10. This is by far the longest video I've ever made. So let me just run through this real quick. The 3 categories were best looking blade, best action, and then the most carried in my collection. What, out of all the knives I have, what do I actually carry the most and use the most? You know, so let's just hit that real quick right away. The best looking blade in my collection turned out to be the Berg Blades Tick. Yeah, the Tick, man. This blade to me, it's a clip point. It has that big top groove, the fuller there, the blood groove, right? And then it has the enhanced clip on the front. So yeah, the blade is just really sexy, really good looking blade. So this one, best looking blade in my collection. Knife that won the best action. This was really difficult because I do have some amazing action with some of the knives I have. But yeah, it would have to be the newcomer. Bam, the Kaiser Hawk. Yeah, this thing is just unbelievable, the action on this knife. I mean, it is really, really, really good. It's so smooth everywhere. Guillotine, drop dead, guillotine action on the blade due to the bearings and of course the weight of the blade itself. And that lock bar is just the way it just easily, smoothly pushes over with that detent ball. I mean, the detent nub that's attached to the liner lock. It's Kaiser did their thing with this, man. For real. They really did well with the design of that. So best looking blade and best action in my collection. And now for the 2 knives, and I'll show them both at the same time. The most carried knives in my collection. Every single day when I go out, I have this knife in my pocket. Every single day. I use it all the time to cut things with. There must be a reason why, with all the types of knives I have, with everything I have, why this knife is my most carried. I don't just, it just kind of happens. I don't just pick one. It's just kind of like, I guess from using and it being in my pocket, you just kind of gain a nuance of what you like to carry. And my most carried knife in 2024, out of all hundreds of my pocket knives, my most carried knife is the, blew that entry, Spyderco Bodacious. It's so bodacious The Bodacious is my most carried knife. You can tell it has some battle scars on it. It's not as clean as some of the other stuff. Pocket clip is all scratched up, but this is the user. Yeah, this thing is absolutely ridiculous. And you might ask yourself, if this is the most carried knife, why wasn't it in the top 10 or the top 15 or the top 20? This is not a pretty boy. That's why. Okay, that's why. It's a worker. Okay, Spyderco is my favorite knife manufacturer for doing work. And, one day when they come out with some really exotic steel for this knife, and then I go out and buy a crazy set of scales that cost more than the knife, then maybe this will end up being in my top 10. But as of right now, it's just my most carried knife, along with this knife, my PM2 in Cruwear, my Cruwear PM2. This knife, every time I go out in my yard and do yard work, or I go in my man cave garage and do stuff, I take this knife with me. Cruwear steel and the PM2. So these are by far my most two used and carried knives in my entire collection, like by far, hands down. And just to show, I do have another Bodacious. It just released Bodacious in all black. I've actually never carried this knife. This knife has never been carried in my pocket, and it's never been used to cut anything. So it's actually a brand new knife. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it, if I'm going to change the scale to titanium or just leave it black like it is. I haven't decided. I did put a aftermarket clip on it, though. My Screw For You clip, I did put that on there. So anyway, yeah, so that's it. That's, sexiest blade, best action, and most used and carried. All right, guys, thanks a lot.